Hello Gemini, welcome to your mid-December 2018 Tarot and Astrology reading. This is the final mid-monthly of the year 2018, and next up we'll have January 2019. New year, new start. What is it that you want to leave behind in 2018 and begin again in 2019? What are the new objectives for you? With so much onus on your partnerships this month, the Sagittarian energy, a lot of it could be to do with your relationships. Then we go into Capricorn season and we get that eighth house, mysterious energy, High Priestess. The High Priestess is all about the duality, which is something Gemini knows a lot about. It's the dark and the light, the contrast of experiences, the contrast of feelings, the contrast of what we believe and don't believe. Can change quite instantly whenever the sun is in your 8th house. You can be aware of things you didn't know, your relationships with other people on a more secretive level than the 7th house energy. What it is that you're giving and receiving from the people in your life this month. When you're going into 2019, consider what you want your relationships to truly look like. What is the next big step? What is the next logical step for you to take? You can't make anybody else do anything that they don't want to do. It all has to come from you. Your relationship with yourself is paramount to your relationship with others. And with so much going on there, Jupiter being in your partnership sector, you're going to learn a lot this year. Yes, it's lucky. Yes, it's prosperous. Yes, Jupiter is the great benefic. But it can leave you a gift and a lesson, which is sort of copying Saturn a little bit, but it's different. It's more optimistic. Okay? Beginning energy is the Two of Wands. You're at a crossroads in terms of making a decision. You're not sure which path to take. Oopsies. The High Priestess again. This is kind of... The number 2 is so significant already. The conscious versus the subconscious is coming into play. Let's see how. Knight of Wands, it could represent a fire sign. Oopsies, 10 of Wands is a challenge. And I did see the 3 of Swords is the outcome. Okay, Gemini. Interesting. And the Knight of Swords is underneath, which can be you. So right off the bat, I know that 3 of Swords looks mighty uncomfortable. But it doesn't necessarily mean the first thing that jumped to your mind. It doesn't necessarily mean a heartbreak, although a lot of you could definitely be going through that. The challenge for you, Gemini, is the 10 of Wands. So how much you're putting into something and how much you're getting out of something. The 10 of Wands is a man who carries a lot of burdens. He carries a lot of the weight and he does it solo. You're on some kind of solo path, but I feel it involves somebody else, though you're carrying most of the weight for some reason. It's almost as if you have all these thoughts and feelings weighing you down and this other person is moving freely. It could be that they're moving freely through life with no commitments, no cares, and you're taking on all of the responsibilities. You're doing things for them. You're working things out for them. Or it could be trying to reconcile the part of yourself that wants to be responsible and the part of yourself that wants to be carefree, and finding yourself misunderstood. With Mercury being in retrograde for a period in Sagittarius and in Scorpio, as I said, a lot of it was to do with miscommunication in your partnerships and secret miscommunications. You know, what people weren't saying, what people weren't letting you be privy to. A lot of people were keeping their thoughts to themselves and being passive aggressive, giving mixed signals. Do you know what I mean? So I think there seems to be a bit of an issue here. Now, it could be with another air sign for sure. It could be with a Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, or it could be with a fire sign. It could be with a Leo, Sagittarius, or an Aries. What to do next, Gemini? What to do next? This is the question. And because your intuition is clogged up from the retrogrades, you're just not sure. Neptune has now gone direct. And it is telling people a lot of things they weren't aware of. It's actually causing some chaos, even if people thought it was going to be easy. It's not, because if you were living in a fog and you were blissfully unaware of certain things, or you were being naive to certain things, it's all coming down crumbling for people. Yep, this is you. Could be another air sign. The important thing to remember is to think clearly. You haven't been thinking clearly till this point. Retrograde season has asked people not to make moves, but it's also clouded your judgment. And now, much like the Taurus reading that I've done, it feels as though miscommunications are coming to a head. And this is where you have to wake up to certain things, okay? Four of Cups. You've definitely been rejecting a certain path or making a decision on what way to go, okay? Because you've not wanted to. 10 of Pentacles with the High Priestess. The Hierophant in the positive. The challenge is the world. You have the weight of the world on your shoulders. And the Four of Wands is with the Three of Swords, which is nice, actually. 5 of Cups underneath. Feeling disappointed. Feeling apologetic, even. So, let's see. Move this candle here so we can get a better look at these. Okay. For some of you Geminis, there is an older fire sign that you can rely on for advice. Somebody who can talk to you, someone who can advise you, somebody who's been around the block a few times, someone with experience, and they're going to have a perspective that can assist you in your dilemma. I do think you seem to have the weight of the world on your shoulders. You're possibly doing too much. Or you're possibly thinking too much. There's an excess of something is the issue. Way too much is going on that you're finding hard to get on top of. You're not feeling on top of the world right now, and that's because the burdens that you're carrying are weighing you down. When you have too many burdens weighing you down, you can't rise, right? I think you seem to be in a very tough position with everything you've got going on. It's like you have many different people asking of you, and you don't feel like you can ask of anyone else. The important thing, Gemini, is to, as I say, seek advice from someone who's experienced, but it's also interesting to know what's worked for you before. The Hierophant in the positive position is suggesting that the tried and tested way of doing things may actually work. Habit may actually work. It may be about getting into a routine. For a lot of you, I feel like you could be reuniting with somebody, which is interesting. Could be somebody that you had to really fight to get back, though. The Three of Swords was a miscommunication, and when it's followed by the Four of Wands, I feel like it's a miscommunication that leads to something greater. We have a real contrast here, particularly as the High Priestess and the number 2 beginning the reading. We have a contrast between one way or another. It's like opposites attract. Okay, so we have the responsibility of the Hierophant, the carefree nature of the Knight of Wands, we have the heartbreak of the Three of Swords, and we have the stability of the Four of Wands. It's as if one leads to another. It's as if balancing two different perspectives may actually achieve a middle ground. Now, if you can commit to a certain way of doing things, I feel like you can come out of this relatively unscathed, but the communication's been off, and it might be worth accepting that not everybody was acting the way they usually would, and maybe being a bit more forgiving of certain things, or maybe someone has to be a bit more forgiving of you, though you could be dealing with someone quite headstrong, as the Hierophant implies. Now, the world as a challenge is also something that I feel can represent closure. Like something's gone as far as it can go for some of you. This could be work related, this could be romantic. Because the world can often represent completion. It can also in the challenge represent bad timing. Okay? So if there was somebody in your life that you really cared about but the timing was wrong, they might make some sort of return. Because Venus is now going through the sky in places where she had been retrograding. So people can actually get more chances than they had during Venus retrograde because you're going over old ground. So people may return. There could have been delays in travel as well, because the World card can represent in a challenging position, challenge traveling, or even a lack of global awareness for some Geminis, particularly in politics. So, that being said, it feels like the timing's been off for something. It's not been the right time. And with the retrograde season, that makes a lot of sense, okay? So if someone has returned and there was a lot of pain surrounding this because of miscommunication and bad timing, there seems to be an opportunity to have a conversation. It depends on whether or not you can approach it with optimism or you can approach it with negativity. So if you really don't trust the person, don't, make a decision which isn't going to assist you in the future. But if you feel like this was something that was bad timing, maybe somebody had to move overseas, maybe somebody had to travel, it could also have been a very strong misunderstanding because someone was working too much, Timing was off. Timing was the issue. And you don't know what to do. I think for a lot of you, it's wondering if you should give somebody a second chance because they rejected you before, or you rejected them before. Maybe you're looking for a second chance. If you're in a relationship, you're kind of wondering, what's the next step here? Should we marry? Should we move in together? I think a lot of you are thinking, I want to move. I want to move in with this person. I want to start a new chapter. Maybe they're not so sure of it because of finances, though. Or they're questioning your motives. 3 of Wands, you're definitely thinking about making the next step. 6 of Pentacles, giving. 8 of Swords is the positive, okay. The 6 of Wands is the challenge. And the 8 of Cups is the outcome as well. Okay. I see where this is going, Gemini. I do. 9 of Pentacles underneath. It's as if you are considering very much, should I stay or should I go? The grass isn't always greener. Just bear that in mind. If you're really thinking about leaving a relationship, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. You may be wondering, you may be feeling a bit curious about what lies ahead or what may have been or what may not have been. I do feel like there is some sort of relationship ultimatum as whether you're going to give up on somebody or not after an argument. There could have been a pretty bad argument, I must say. The 8 of Swords in the challenge with the Hierophant, you are utilizing past experience and you're very afraid of feeling trapped in a similar situation that's been before. This is interesting. The 6 of Wands challenging you. You're not feeling as successful as you'd like to because you're feeling like you've too much things to give your attention to and you're not getting anything right in your head. Okay? You're not feeling as if you're getting this. But you are, Gemini. This is just a passing thought. You may feel like a project has been costing too much money, or a relationship has possibly been costing too much money. And maybe, as I say, you guys want to make the next step and move, but the finances are the problem. I think a lot of you are moving as a couple, but I do feel a lot of you are moving on from a relationship as well because you've either it's not the right time, you don't know if you can give it a chance or not. It actually depends on your perspective. There's love being offered, and yes, there are things to be upset about, but it's really your choice of perspective. You can go either way. A lot of Geminis are going to be making different decisions. This is a general. A lot of you are going to be wanting to regain some independence because you don't want to be in a relationship surrounded by conflict. Now, bear in mind, if this conflict in particular is repetitive, that can make sense. If this is just a one-off argument, it doesn't make much sense to cut it completely if you have feelings for this person. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel as if somebody may be kind of needy. You know, they might be needing more from you and you're not sure if you can give it or not because you've so much on. And the more that you have on, the more that you're retracting from this person and the more needy they're getting. At least that's how I'm seeing this. Could be wrong. I mean, check out your moon or rising. We did have the Tower pop up a couple of times, so false assumptions could get you in trouble. Don't assume things are a certain way. Things are kind of astrologically shaky at the moment, in my opinion. It would astound you how many misunderstandings can happen, and in such extreme forms. You may feel differently about this in January. I feel as though you were waiting on some sort of communication in order to make a decision that may not have come in completely. You were waiting to hear a message from somebody else. Maybe you were testing the waters with somebody new and they never got in contact, or maybe you were applying for a new job you thought was a sure thing and you've not heard back yet. And you're feeling a little bit insecure about it. You're feeling a little bit as if you're questioning your success and questioning who you are, and that's just not the case at all, Gemini. It's not worth going down that rabbit hole because you have too much on your mind to think clearly. You need to drop something. You need to let go of something and make sure it's the least important thing. Make sure you're not walking out on something that will actually bring you greater joy in the future, or something that's been bringing you happiness. Be very selective in what it is that you put down for the time being, because as I say, the Three of Swords, if someone is arguing with you, it may very well be that they feel left out. Okay? So be patient with people. If you have a million things up in the air, they don't necessarily know that. Make sure that you're communicating it, because communication has been fraught. Okay? And you will find that the family you surround yourself with will be everything to you by the end of the month. It's okay to move around, it's okay to go places, but it's not okay to abandon. The Hierophant is in the positive, so if you commit to something by the end of the month, it'll be a good decision. Okay? It has to be well thought through, though. It has to be made with confidence. The Knight of Wands is always about making decisions with confidence, being sure of your path and believing in yourself. Please don't make a decision when you're feeling as if everything you do is wrong, because it will cast a shadow. The weight of the world seems to be on your shoulders for some reason, Gemini, and I think you have to be wary of what decision you make. It could be with a person, as I say, it could be a fire sign. It could be anybody, but this is a general reading, so as I say, look at your moon and rising. This one's been kind of vague, I must say. It's a little bit specific. I mean, not every month is going to be life-changing, not every mid-monthly is going to be life-changing, but I do feel like you're at a crossroads with something, and I'm just telling you, the best way to make a decision is to make it through confidence and self-assurance. It's not to react impulsively because you're stressed. You know that saying, don't make promises when you're happy, don't make decisions when you're sad? It's kind of like that. And if you're going to drop something, make sure it's not something you're going to regret dropping, okay? I'm going to draw some Goddess Guidance cards and Universe cards. I'm trying to wake myself up with coffee here. But let's see. It kind of amazes me as well that Gemini gets such a bad rep romantically. It just never seems to be the case. I mean, I've always found... I had one bad experience with a Gemini. I'm not going to make this about me. I did have a bad experience with a Gemini, and I always said I would never go back to one. But I had a really, really bad weekend, and the only person that salvaged the whole thing was a Gemini. And I used to live with a group of people, and one of the guys was a Gemini, and he was the best boyfriend. I used to, to his girlfriend, I used to work with guys. The best boyfriend to his girlfriend was a Gemini. My closest Gemini female friend, great girlfriend to her boyfriend. And I just think this rap thing, this Geminis are this way or that way, is just ridiculous. It's just not like that. Anya, leap of faith. Take a risk and put your heart's true desire into action. Sarasvati. That's nice. Express yourself through creative activities. Matt, fairness. The situation will be handled in a fair and just manner. That is very important, okay? And unconditional love by Mary Magdalene. Love yourself, others, in every situation, no matter what the outward appearances may be. As I say, there is a propensity at the moment for misunderstandings as everything settles. It feels like the dust is settling. You can take a leap of faith, of course, but as I say, make it through confidence. Channel your energy into the arts. It's actually quite a good idea. Listen to music, de-stress yourself. Through prayer and meditation, I create a ripple effect of peace in the world. So your actions are directly affecting others, Gemini. People are responding to you. Energy flows where my intention goes. So make sure you're focused on what it is that you truly want. When I'm in alignment with love of the universe, peace cannot be disrupted. Okay, so meditate, spend time by yourself, clear your mind, and you will make much better decisions this month, Gemini, and I am sure you will. So I love you guys, and I will see you in January. Bye.